G'day folks, it's Rob here and welcome to another aquaponic update. In today's clip I'm going to be giving a bit of a look at a few pest issues we've had and how I've dealt with them, or one in particular. Also going to plant a couple of seedlings and some cuttings out and give you a bit of an update on the fish, give you a look at them, and I might check the dissolved oxygen level in the water as well if I can beat a storm that's coming in from the west. So I better get cracking. We'll set up over near the fish tank and I'll give you a bit of a look at them. So I've tossed a bit of feed in for these guys, but they seem to be a little bit slow on hitting it today. That could be because we've got a storm coming through. So I have been told that fish don't feed as well, depending what the barometric pressure is, whether it's on the rise or the fall. So that could have something to do with it. I'll grab my little net and scoop it all out in a little while if they don't start taking it. Oh, there we go, there's a bit of a nibble. I actually stuck the camera down in the tank earlier as well, which sort of puts them off the feed a little bit. So that could be another reason. I just like to give them a bit of a health check at least once a month by popping the camera down and just making sure there's no little marks or blemishes on them. We had a bit of a health scare with a few of them earlier on in the year, and as you can see from this video, they're all pretty much all looking, you know, healthy as. Just quickly too, I have had a few people concerned that when they do see the videos, they've got all they can see is a lot of fish down the bottom here. Now what that is when I put the camera in, the fish tend to just all head towards the bottom of the tank, but normally they're spread you know, throughout the whole water column in there. I do think that I need to cull a few of the fish out, so we will be taking some out and popping them on the barbecue at some point in time. So these fellas don't look like they're going to come up and give us much of a show on the feeding. So what we might do is, just while it's sunny, I might grab a water sample from the fish tank here and we'll measure the dissolved oxygen. First I've got to wash out the little vial, so I'll wash that out with some water from the sump tank, and yeah, then we'll get cracking and measure the dissolved oxygen. So with this test kit, you basically get a two-part. You get a part 1 or A and a part 2 or B. And the idea is to drop 6 drops into there, pop the lid on without any oxygen being in there, giving it a bit of a shake, and then measure the colour of the water sample against this little colorimetric chart here. So this is the first time I've used this, so I just need to pierce the top with the little spike inside the lid there. There we go. Now drop in 6 drops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the same with part 2. And of course they got Robert proof caps on them, haven't they? And same thing, just pierce the top with the bottle top there, and again 6 drops. And now place the cap on. It's got this little breather hole in the top as well, which means you can pop it on. Some of the water will come out. Whoops, all over the camera. Pop that in and give it a bit of a shake and let it sit for a few seconds and dry off the camera. So just dry it off the camera in a little canister there, and we'll pop this down. I think you can tell that the colour is a little bit darker than this little swatch here, but not quite as dark as that. So it's sitting between 4 and 6 milligrams a litre. Now I know for the silver perch, anything above 4 is pretty much all good. That means they've got ample oxygen within the water, so I'm not too phased about that. Keep in mind we have a Venturi running in that tank, and I also have 2 air stones at the moment. Being summer, I know the water temperature being around about 29 degrees Celsius will mean that there is a little bit less oxygen being held in that water. So that's something I can cover in an upcoming clip. If you folks are interested, just let me know in the comment section below. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll just clean these bottles up and I'll give you a look at the rest of the system. Just to give you a bit of a look at the measurements here, we've got a pH of 6.6, so that'll probably be right till tomorrow morning when I'll dose up with some calcium hydroxide. And the water temp is 28, 27 degrees. It's falling a little bit. We've had a couple of warm days this week, so it was sitting around about 29 to 30 degrees. So obviously it's coming down. This radial flow filter needs a bit of a clean as well, so I'll probably get to that after the storm later on today. Oh, that little net down there is my excess feed, whatever the fish leave, that's my little net to get them out. It's a little bit too small for the fish themselves. The grow beds themselves are coming along well. They do need a little bit of a feed with some iron. You can probably tell there's a little bit of lightening between the veins there. But we do have a load of flowers on the beans and a couple of small fruit that have already set. And Bianca's cleaned out a couple of her small little ornamental plants from there, the succulents she was striking. They came out with some fairly good looking little root systems on them actually. So they've been potted up to give away to some of her friends. The spice in this bed is going really well. I'll give you a more detailed update on the spice later on. I've got a clip I want to shoot showing all the different gingers we have around the place. Down here is our wall of Brahmi. I'll just move back a bit so you can get a better appreciation. It's turned into a little bit of a hedge here. So it's something that needs to be trimmed back. It's actually growing out onto the grow bed itself, so I need to rein it in a bit, do a bit of a harvest. And in here we have some garlic cloves I've missed that have just shot up, so they'll just be used like garlic greens. The bed over the sump tank is starting to put on some nice growth. We did have a few deficiency issues and the mushroom herb leaves were very brittle, but they seem to bounce back nicely. They're not snapping anymore. We've got an Okinawan spinach over in the corner. We keep harvesting pretty much every second day at a minimum, just for salads. I've actually got some more cuttings over the back that I'll pop out. In this bed here, we've got a couple of random tomatoes that have popped up, and I'm a little bit curious as to what they will be. The only plants we've had in this bed are the KY1s earlier on in the season, so I'm not too sure they'll do too well with the fruit fly through summer. The Brazilian spinach over there, it's been harvested continuously and it still keeps coming back, and we have some more in that barrel there. So I think we're going to have to pull at least the plant in that barrel because it's going a little bit too well for us. Down here, this is a bed that I cleaned out yesterday. It actually had a load of beetroot we were no longer harvesting. We got them from Dave out of Boona. Thank you very much, mate. They were a variety that was meant more for leaf than bulb set, but we did get some nice little root sections out of them. And I also cleaned out a few other plants in this bed. Quite noticeably, the large red celery that was just sitting in this corner here. It had just, the root mass had started to take over far too much of the bed, and it had actually intermingled with the little garlic chives there that were next to them. And the void that was left behind I filled with some clay I have up underneath the house. And I broke up the garlic chives into a few sections. There's one there, another one next to it, and a smaller clump just under this lettuce that should be harvested for tonight's meal. It's the only reason it wasn't pulled out yesterday. So these little garlic chives I'm going to keep a closer eye on, just seeing how full on their root system got. They also were very badly infested with aphids, so after I'd taken the plant out of the bed, I hit it with the hose on the jet, and that smashed a lot of the aphids. As a result, though, a lot of the stems got damaged by the jet of water, but that's all right, they should bounce back nicely. I also potted out a thyme that I'd had in a little pot sitting in the bed for ages, so that's just gone in here. It's a little lemon variegated thyme, and I replanted out some of the flat leaf parsley. They look a bit wilty today, but it is a bit warm. And around the front here, I trimmed back the rosemary, and I have a basket full of greens up in the house that we'll probably string up to just let dry. We've had a bit of an issue with slugs here in the system. I haven't seen much damage on the plants themselves. I've seen no slime trails on any of the greens, but they're obviously in the bed in too high a number, so I decided to flood it after I'd cleaned out the root section yesterday. I put in a slightly taller standpipe in there with a little bit of a hole in it, which I actually knocked together for a different clip, and it raised the water level above the clay. And what that did was it drove all the slugs to the surface where I could pick them off the clay easily. And once I'd done there, I started looking around the base of this little Brazilian spinach plant, and I found a load of little stowaways on here trying to get away from the water. So I collected all them, popped them in a bucket and dispatched them later. In this bed here, we've got this large rabbit ear lettuce. It's gone to flower. It's fallen over in the storm last night, so yeah, I'm pretty much all just going to pull these guys from the bed. Either tomorrow or the day after, this bed will get the same treatment. I'll clear it right out. Some of the plants, like this celery, will be coming out. I won't be keeping it. The turmeric I'll probably end up harvesting because we don't need any more turmeric. I've got it popping up everywhere. I might try and transplant some of the younger, healthy looking parsley. Some of them have got leaves that need to be trimmed back, but that's nothing major. And the lemongrass over in the corner there, I'm thinking about popping in the corner just over here. just mainly it's sort of out of the way. And this bed by the end of the Christmas break will be a deep water culture bed with some floating rafts in there. Yeah, so it means I also need to find a home for my little lavender here. And my thyme plant has bounced back. I think it was Andy over in Perth. He was wondering how this was going a while back. It has bounced back, but it's not doing too crash hot, being crushed under all this lettuce. That head there looks like it might be good enough to come off for tonight's meal as well. Just growing through this little lemongrass clump, we have some of the Okinawan spinach from around here. It's actually growing from a plant in this corner down here. Over here, again, this is the Brazilian spinach that will be coming out. Actually harvested a couple of nice beetroot from there this morning. And these are the Okinawan spinach from stems we've harvested over the last couple of weeks. Have another batch up on the back stairs, but these guys are a little bit more mature and they've set some roots. So I might plant these guys out now. It seems like this storm is sort of a bit of a non-event. So planting these guys out is really pretty easy. I think I'm only going to do 3 of the smaller ones in here. I can untangle their roots. These other guys can find somewhere else around the patch. So it is really pretty easy. Just dig a bit of a hole in here, pop them down fairly low, fill them back in. And that is pretty much all it. Might just nip around and plant some basil out now. So I've just got 3 plugs of basil here. They've been actually sitting in the ginger bed behind the camera, just in their tray with their roots just touching the base of the water in the grow bed. So I'm just going to pop them in here. I will wash out the soil, the majority of the soil from the roots first though, so back in a tick. So there we go, I've washed the majority of the soil out. There's a little bit of potting mix in there, mainly bark, so it'll do no harm really. Now over the back is, in that corner there is where I want to put the lemongrass. So I might just pop these guys down the front here. So there's the basil planted out. These guys here will be treated the same as the plants I popped into the veggie pod the other day. They'll just be cut back once they hit about 6 inches to 8 inches or 15 to 20 centimeters in height and used in salads or pestos or something along those lines. So while we're talking food, I'll just run you through some of the meals we've made out of bits and pieces from the system. I have been posting photos, by the way, on the community tab here on YouTube if you want to check them out. From the barrels over there, we harvested a fair few beetroot, again from David, thank you mate. Those guys there a while back were roasted up along with some sweet potato and pumpkin and added into a beggar's bowl when we had some friends around. We also added in things like the finely sliced Okinawan spinach and flat leaf parsley. And I think B went out and sprung for some snow peas as well and added them in there. Mixed that all around with some fried halloumi and a bit of a nice citrusy tahini dressing, and it made an absolutely fantastic meal. Another meal we've been having a lot from the bits and pieces from the system, namely the mushroom herb, Okinawan spinach, the Brazilian spinach, and also the rabbit ear lettuce is a meal that we'll be making up tonight. Oh, and we've also been adding in some Chinese amaranth and Vietnamese ho and nok from other places around the patch into this as well. It's basically a leafy green salad that I top off with either some pan-fried chicken, halloumi or beef. It just makes for an absolutely awesome light evening meal for our hot summer nights. For you folks who aren't aware, I've started up an affiliate sales page over on our website. There'll be a little bit of a link up there if you want to suss it out. It's linking to an aquaponic, hydroponic and pond supplier here in Australia, and also our Amazon influencer page over on their website. So if you want to check them out and see if there's anything there you'd like to pick up, I will get a little bit of coin from anything that you do buy there. So I appreciate it. You don't have to, but yeah, if you feel like it, I won't complain whatsoever. Just quickly, I did wish everyone on the last update vlog a very happy Christmas, holidays, or however you celebrate this time of year. And I'd like to do so again for you aquaponic folks who don't check up on the normal garden clips. It's been a really flat out year for us with a few different bits and pieces going on. And hopefully before the year's out, I'll have a bit of a change to the system here, and I'll bring you along early in the new year to give you a bit of a gander. I better sign off there because the camera's getting a little bit wet. I do hope you're all well and happy and that you have enjoyed this little bit of an update on the system, and I will catch you next clip. Cheers folks, have a top one.